What's up, BarberVille? Welcome to Official Cuts Academy.
Welcome to BarberVille Shop Tours, where we take a look at some of the most unique and creatively designed barbershops in the industry today. My name is CJ, and today we're in Chicago, Illinois, checking out Official Cuts Academy. Let's see what they got to offer.
Welcome to Official Cuts Academy. It's a pleasure having BarberVille here today. I'm personally going to take you guys through a guided tour and talk to you guys about the history of barbering that dates back all the way to the 1800s. Let's get into it. We're going to start right here in the front of the school with this extremely large barber case. Now, when you see a case this side, often it represents a busy barbershop in a larger city. This one, to my knowledge, came out of New York City. And this case held a variety of different things. One being hair tonic bottles, as you can see in the upper portion, label under glass shaving mugs, which to me and a lot of collectors are deemed to be very rare. And what it is it's the label would be placed underneath the glass that you see above it. And these were personalized. So back in the day, to prevent bacteria infection and spreading of bacteria, it would be personalized to each individual client. So the barber would have one of these for each individual client. And throughout our tour, I'll highlight some larger mug cases and some different types of mugs. But this one this represents the Prohibition era, and there are a variety of different ones, and you'll notice again the different names representing different clients that the barber may have had. Underneath would be the sterilized towels that they would have used formaldehyde to disinfect and kill off all bacteria. So the barber cases are really cool and awesome to me based on everything that they hold, and this is one of my favorites, and this was acquired through auction. Right next to the barber case, we have this 4-post Koken barber pole. The 4-post Koken is represented by the 4 posts that surround the pole. Koken was based out of St. Louis, and this dates back to about 1912. And the reason why they have the 4 posts around the glass is because back in the day, a lot of kids or younger guys would walk around with a baseball bat or a stick or something, and they would shatter the glass. So the 4 posts protected the glass. So this is a really cool, one of my favorite sets. They had a set of 5 of these sidewalk poles, and I have a couple other ones that I'll show you throughout our tour, but this is the 4-post wall mount. All the other 4 posts are sidewalk poles. Again, Koken was made in St. Louis and one of the most respected, successful barber suppliers in the United States at the time. The chess table is self-explanatory, but commonly found in a barbershop and even in barber school. Whenever the barbers have a little bit of downtime, 9 out of 10 times they resort to the chess table. And this one was gifted to me by a dear friend. I love the detail in the legs, the marble top, and you'll find the students on here pretty much 2 to 3 times a day. Right next to the chess table is what we know here as the Mammoth. So this was made by Koken as well. This is the largest manufactured barber pole in history, and referenced in my catalogs, which I'll show you later on in the tour. A lot of the items that I talk about here today, I reference through the catalogs. Think about it as like Google back in the day. Everything was in catalog form, and this one dates back to 1909. All right, guys, so this is one of my favorite chairs. This is a Koken kids chair. And one of the things I like most about this chair is the fluted rim around the base of the chair and also the chrome trim on the bottom. As you can see, the horse head on this chair is very unique. Now, Koken did not make a kid's chair with a horse head. Emil J. Padar did, Theo Koch did. So this was added at some point. Even though it's still an antique, my guess would be it was somewhere around the 40s and 50s, but still one of my favorite pieces. Moving right along. Here we are, as you can see, our stained glass cashier sign. This is our national cash register. This wasn't used in a barbershop. As you can see, this is a larger cash register, and this was most likely used in a department store. But I just love the way it looks. And based on all the letters labeled on each drawer, The history of these registers is like an old school Sears. Each department would have its own drawer. So you would set the register based on the department, and that would open up a particular drawer. So it would be a jewelry store department, clothing store, furniture, whatever it was, whatever department you were in the store would determine what register would open. And this one does have 9 different bells. So really cool looking register. I love the detail. National Cash Register is one of the oldest registers in the United States. And anything that was manufactured here in America, old school Americana, I like to add the little US detail with the flags. And this is one of my favorite registers. That's why I popped it right here. So get that money. As soon as you walk into Official Cuts Academy, you're presented with this display case. In this display case, I have a lot of different random barbershop collectibles that range from straight razor blades to hair tonics, lather brushes, shaving mugs. But one of the things I wanted to highlight in this case was my very first pair of clippers. I attended McCoy Barber College in 2001, and those were the clippers that were handed to me in my student kit. So I put them in an old barber case. Obviously that's not my case, that's probably from the 30s or 40s, but I just thought it looked good the way I wore my clippers out. And if you zoom into them, there's electrical tape on there. I had to rig a switch on there because back then, those were humble beginnings. We didn't have the luxury of just constantly buying the newest clipper. We had to work with what we had. So those are a constant reminder, and I put them here on display because that's where it all started. All right, guys, let's talk Chicago. So you're talking Theo A. Koch. These are the type of chairs that you have here. It's a matching set of 5. It's extremely hard to find one, let alone 5. I was lucky enough to acquire these from a gentleman out in New Jersey, did a little maintenance to them, and put them right back in circulation. These are from the 1912 era, and they're phenomenal. Theo A. Koch, again, was manufactured and distributed out of Chicago here. Porcelain, fluted seat, fluted base, and the chrome trim to make it all look great. And these are some of my favorite chairs here at the school. In front of these chairs here, you have what's called the back bar. The back bars represented the workstation for the barbers. I had these custom built and made by my carpenter to replicate the older style back bars, which I'll show you later on in the tour as well. Now the marble tops I did acquire from an old back bar, an all marble back bar from the turn of the century, and I had them all cut and made to fit these countertops here to give it that very old vintage feel. These pillars are all hand carved wood that were imported from Indonesia. So these are solid wood pillars, and all the back bars here are made of oak. So to me, it gives it a very genuine and very old vintage feel. I love these back bars, and you'll see 15 stations here wrapped around the clinic floor, all uniform with the same columns and trim. Oftentimes, back bars had back bar hangers, and what those represented was different advertisings from different companies, whether it be a product company, mug company, barber pole company. This one here is a T. Noonan & Son based out of Boston, and this is a mug advertising. Now the mug advertising, again, can be customized by design, your personal name, and often they were made out of China. So the Barber Supply would buy the china from different countries, Germany, France, different parts of Europe, and they would decorate it themselves. So this is a representation of that, and it's letting you know that you can personalize your own shaving mug for $1. Imagine that. So we're in the foyer section of the school. The foyer separates the right and left side of the clinic floor, but right here in the center, I want to highlight some of the items that we have here, starting with this cash register stand. Now this is an all marble cash register stand with a porcelain fluted base, and on top, obviously, the cash register. I love this cash register. It has sentimental value to me because an old friend of ours by the name of Mr. Russell, rest in peace, he was 87 years old and a retired barber. He would come hang out with us, and this was a gift that I received from him years ago. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but not everything has to be shiny to have value, right? To the right of it, we have the 4-post Koken pedestal. Now remember, in the front of the school, we highlighted the wall mount version. This one is the pedestal version with the green and white candy cane stripes. Now that was very unusual and you really won't see another one like it. Not too many barber poles had green and white stripes. A lot of them had red and white stripes to represent the blood bandages and the clean ones. Now this one also has the 4 posts that will identify the type of pole it is to protect the glass. To the left of it here, you have the Theo Koch, made in Chicago, 7-foot barber pole. Again, it being green represents the time period, and that's like 40s and 50s. On top of the globe, which I call the cherry, on top of the pole would be the cherry on top, and it says hair bobbing. Now, a lot of you are like, what's hair bobbing? Or why would barbers highlight hair bobs, which is a woman's cut, right? Think about this, and here's a gem for you. When Gillette dropped the safety razor, a lot of barbers lost a lot of business because barbers did more shaves than they did haircuts. So what they did, based on what it is that we do and working on close cuts, we started advertising to the women because the hair bobs were very popular in the 20s, and barbers were actually the first to start cutting women's hair. So not only did barbers do men's cuts, but we also did women's cuts, and a lot of it you'll see in the advertising that symbolizes hair bobbing, and you'll see that right in this globe as well. Barber right in the center, massage and bobbing. So it wasn't uncommon to see a lot of advertising that represented barbers doing women's cuts. This is a very, very rare piece here. This is called the jewel globe, and you can see around the housing of it, it has the jewels on there, and that would shine bright and illuminate multiple different colors because they wanted to capture the eyes of potential customers. So if you were driving by and you saw this beautiful globe shining with multiple different colors and the advertising was right, 9 out of 10 times they were luring you in. One of my favorite chairs here at Official Cuts Academy is the Theo A. Koch Lion Head chair. Now, the lion head chair is simply just that. It has the 2 lion heads depicted on both sides of the chair, carved into the oak. But one of the even cooler things about the chair is the lion's paws and feet that represented the base of the chair. So a very royal, very powerful feel. It was almost like royalty because lions are lions. Lions are the king of the jungle. And I had to wrap the Palestinian scarf around the headrest of the chair because of me being a Palestinian descent, my people representation of lions, okay? Because throughout everything, throughout all adversity, lions will always fight through. Lions don't stand down. Lions don't run. So this is the lion head chair with the Palestinian scarf wrapped around it. Above the chair, we have a Lee Durbin lithograph depicting an old tonsorial parlor here in Chicago with the lion chairs in it. A really awesome photograph that has a variety of different things going on in it. The shoe shine stand with the shoe shine boy shining shoes, the mug rack in the back, the lady hanging out, just everything that a tonsorial parlor would represent. And these two flow together. This picture was made to depict an early barbershop here in Chicago. A lot of these accolades here we collected over the years. Shout out to my younger brother, Moody OC. He was out here starting 2013, competing, battling, and bringing home first place trophies like clockwork. So majority of these trophies here belong to him. I have a few up here myself. My most recently acquired Barber Grammy for Positive Influencer of the Year. This was in 2021. Shout out to Jay Majors and the CT Barber Expo and everybody that nominated me and voted for me. And that, the BarberCon Best Beard Work 2022. I was crowned shaving champion of the world from level 3. So Babyless Pro, obviously I'm an educator for Babyless Pro, an educator for level 3, and also Booksy. So shout out to all those brands and everybody that supports us and supports those brands. And McCoy Barber College, of course, in the back you see the reunion gala. That was in 2002. I'm a McCoy alum. I graduated in McCoy Barber College, and there are some McCoy Barber College trophies back here as well. Shout out to Miss B, the Queen B, who's also here with us at Official Cuts Academy. So a lot of history on this back wall that ties into Official Cuts, from the barber battle days to myself as an educator, and also to McCoy, who has been in Chicago since 1954, and the Queen Bee. So shout out to everybody that had anything to do with this wall right here. This is our wall of accolades right here. Here we have a very unique sink that was in a barbershop. And the way you can identify an old barbershop sink is based on the plumbing. So this upside down U here with the hose in the center represented the hose that they would use to wash clients' hair out. It's really cool, wrapped in porcelain with the fluted base. This sink was made turn of the century, circa 1900s. A lot going on in this corner. The next thing I want to highlight is this Emil J. Padar pedestal barber pole. Now, Emil J. Padar was another prominent and very well-known manufacturer here in Chicago. And this is a representation of his pedestal pole with the pedestal bottom. Very, very clean, cream and navy blue finish. Another unique pole here at Official Cuts Academy. Next to the Emil J. Padar pedestal pole, we have this representation of a mug rack. And again, the mug rack represented all of the barber's clients with personalized mugs. Not only were they personalized to their names, but some of them belong to different fraternal organizations. Like here you can see the KP represented the Knights of Pythias with the knight image on the mug. You had the Oddfellows with the 3 rings and the eye. You had the Freemasons, the Moors, so many different fraternal organizations that would be personalized to that gentleman's clients. Now, also on top here on display, you have the Ever Ready shaving brush display, and right next to that, also the straight razor display. Now, since we're talking about Emil J. Padar, this is a personalized advertising of the company. And again, Emil J. Padar was made right here in Chicago, Illinois. And another representation of that man was the flower top barber pole. Now, this wall mount here, you can see the unique top that was on this pole that represented a flower, and the acorn glass on top of it. The way it's presented here is how it was demonstrated and illustrated in the catalog, which I'll show you later on this tour. But a lot of historical significance here in Chicago. Remember, Chicago was right in the center, is right in the center of America, so everything had to flow through here. Follow me, let's go check out the lounge/study area. Students will often come down here and relax, or if we have some guest visitors, we'll come down here and chill out, decompress a little bit. And on TV is usually instructional information. Shout out to Los Cut It for the podcast here. This was my feature. And if it's not a Los Cut It podcast, it'll be some sort of instructional information on there. Most of the time relatable to what we cover in theory. So this is where we come and hang out a little bit. All right, guys, let's come up the stairs a little bit. And I want to show you and highlight some of my favorite pieces here at Official Cuts Academy. To my left, the Barbershop globe and the torpedo, and also to my right, another representation of the Barbershop globe with the bobbing sign on there. Now, these were all acid etched, meaning that they literally used acid to burn the lettering and the designs into these globes. Now, a lot of these globes didn't withstand the test of time because they were glass, even though they were thick milk glass, but still nonetheless glass. So these were manufactured by Theo Koch here. Here you see the advertising on the wall, the torpedo that depicts the torpedo in it. And some of my favorite pieces, again, here at Official Cuts Academy. I'm gonna come back down here and highlight this Barbershop globe on this wall with the sconce. And the leaded glass pole and globes were very rare because they used a little bit of gold flake in there. So when it stood outside of the barbershop and the sun hit it, it radiated really nice color. Very, very rare pieces. And again, the globes are some of my favorite things to collect as a collector, especially the early barbershop turn of the century ones. On the other side of the clinic floor, more Theo Koch chairs, the round seat, round back chairs to be exact. And these are often identified with the round back and the round seat. Now, these are very rare chairs, uncommon, and just really cool because they all are very symmetrical to the eye with the round base, round seat, and round back. On the other side, we have the Koken chairs that represent the same thing with the fluted seat and the fluted bottom to kind of go off the kids' chair. And these were made by Koken. Now, all these chairs here, I had to piece together throughout so many miles all over the United States, piecing them one by one to have a nice uniform look. And with the cherry on top, the chandeliers to me always represented class, and you'll see many of them throughout Official Cuts Academy. We've been dropping knowledge all day here on this tour, but let's get into the classroom. So we're in the classroom here at Official Cuts Academy, and we cover a lot of theory, hands-on practical work, and anytime we have a guest educator here, this is where it all goes down. So a lot of instruction and education goes on in this room. That being said, I want to highlight this back bar that's right behind me here. And this is a Theo A. Koch back bar made again here in Chicago. And this was made out of scagolia. Now, a lot of you might not know what scagolia is, but back then it was cheaper to make this material look like a marble versus importing it all the way from Italy. So this was handmade out of plaster, painted, wrapped, and then fired on, okay, to make it look like a marble, because back then labor was cheap, right? Materials were cheap. But if you were to have this made today, it would cost you about 10 grand just for the column. And how do I know that? Because I found one guy in Pennsylvania that still does these scagolia pieces, and the difference now is labor is high and materials are high. So it'd actually be cheaper to get it made out of marble than to have this made. It's crazy how the tables turn and how time changes. This is one of the catalogs I was referencing and talking to you guys about. And in this catalog is a depiction of this back bar right here. So it shows the back bar, and then it shows the different color options that you had, and ours being the red new median, okay? And these are the different colors that you could have got it in. And it says here, reproductions in color photography of Koch's art marble. So that's what it was called. It was called an art marble because it was made to look like marble, depicted in this old Koch Barber Supply catalog. I also want to show you guys for the finale, because I love to tie things together. Here's an old barbershop picture with the actual back bar in it. Now, this is not the same one, because this is a 6-station back bar and ours is a 2-station. So they were custom made depending on how many stations you wanted in your shop. Guys, this piece is very special to me, and I was fortunate enough to be able to acquire it. This is a 3-station August current back bar that is just stunning to me. All hand carved. Now, the beautiful thing about this back bar to me is that I was able to trace it all the way back to its original owner, and the gentleman's name was John Smith. All right, depicted in this photo here, John Smith opened up the shop in Lanacong, Maryland in 1878. All right, so I have plenty of photos that I'll share with you guys as we move along. And the beautiful thing about this back bar is that it actually sat on Creekside in Maryland. Half of it was on the ground and the other half had 2 pedestals that went into the creek. So over the years, the stability and integrity of the ground of the barbershop was, you know, it gave out a little bit. So they had to level the building and knock the building down. So a gentleman by the name of Clinton, Mr. Clinton Bradley, went into the barbershop and pulled all of its contents out. So he was able to store and take care of this back bar, but he didn't want it in his garage. He had it for a little while, but he wanted it to be appreciated. So I was connected to that man and was able to bring it here to Official Cuts Academy. Now, this barbershop stayed in the family all the way until 1994, once the barbershop closed. And I'm gonna show you guys some of the historical significance that I have that's related to this back bar, including photos, newspaper articles, and I also have a 100-year anniversary article that commemorates the opening of this shop that dates back to 1978. So imagine that. In 1978 was the 100-year anniversary for this shop. It's pretty wild. So I'm gonna show you guys all those things. Here's a newspaper article titled Vanishing Lives, Portraits of Disappearing Crafts and Dying Trades. In this article, it highlights Burton Smith. Burton Smith was the final and third generation barber of the John Smith family. And it's funny that our craft was once considered a dying one. All right, notice Burton Smith in the photo here. He's holding a blow dryer. All right, and this was on the final day of the shop. And when I opened up the back bar cabinet, the blow dryer was in there. So I thought that was really, really cool. A lot of the items that were in this back bar, I kept in there and didn't want to disturb, just kind of preserve on how I found it. Another thing I wanted to share was another catalog, the August Kern catalog, dated 1898. As you can see here on the cover photo, it's a little beat up. Here's the second page. On the top right corner, you'll see it says 1898. And you can see that the mice chewed through a lot of these pages. Now I'm gonna go ahead to the bookmark page here, and I wanna show you the back bar, case number 111. And you can see here on the bottom, it says arranged for 3 chairs, priced at $260 each. So you would think that that's a pretty penny. Dating back to 1898, $260 for each station. So it was just under $1,000 back then for this back bar. A lot of history with this back bar. Photos that start from the origin of John Smith opening the shop in 1870, and then with his grandson, Burton Smith, closing it in 1994. So my favorite piece here at Official Cuts Academy. On the back bar, you'll see multiple displays, straight razor display, lather brush display, and all the way here at the end, the steam sterilizer. Now, these were used for steam towels and sterilized towels with hot water. So awesome pieces, all on display here. The steam sterilizer, if you were putting hot towels in there, they were performed and used to create comfortable and smooth shaves. Still used today, but now we have electrical hot towel warmers. So very cool piece, and it's dated April 20th, 1897. This mug rack right here is my favorite one in the whole school, and the reason is because it represents occupational shaving mugs. What's an occupational shaving mug, you're probably wondering? All right, occupational shaving mugs depict the occupation of the barber's client. Meaning, if it was a carpenter, it might have some carpentry tools. If he was a taxi driver, it'd be a taxi on the mug. These all depict barbers. All right, so those are my favorite because these were actual barbers' mugs and they had their personal names on them. And by looking at the images on the mugs, they would depict different eras of barbers. Some that would date back to the 1800s, some turn of the century, and some in mid-century. My favorite one would be this Captain shaving mug. You can see the 2 ships on there. And this was a barber that was on a ship, and he was a captain's personal barber. So he traveled with the captain on the ship. One of my favorite pieces here at the school. Moving right along here, we have a Theo Koch display case. This was also used as a register stand. So some people would place a register on top of there and upsell their clients with hair tonic, pomades, hair dressings, etc. So depending on what that barbershop offered to sell retail, it would be displayed right here. To the left of that is this phenomenal, amazing coat rack. And this coat rack is made out of solid oak, chrome trim with a leaded glass barbershop globe up on top. Beautiful, beautiful coat rack. To me, my favorite coat rack in the barbershop, ever manufactured for a barbershop. And obviously to the left of that, you have the shoe shine stand. This is also an August Kern shoe shine stand, and this is a quarter sawn oak shoe shine stand. And the difference between a regular oak and quarter sawn oak is when they use to cut the oak, they would cut it against the grain, just like a barber, with the grain and against the grain, right? When you cut oak against the grain, what happens is it will burn the grains of the oak into the wood, and it creates that effect, which is dope. So to me, I love that. And above it, you have an old 1898 August Kern advertising, the advertising for mugs and chairs. But now my favorite thing in this room, one of my favorite things in this room is this barbershop clock. If you look at the clock and look at the numbers, you'll notice that everything's in reverse, right? The numbers are backwards. Why is that? Because back then, okay, the barber would stand behind the chair and the reflection of the clock in the mirror would show it in the correct manner. So when you're looking at it directly, it's backwards, but looking at it through the mirror, it would display the time correctly. And this is an old key wind clock motor. So you would literally wind the motor up like so. One for the arm, one for the second. And how you would start it is you would open and swing the pendulum. And she's rocking and rolling. Now that little wind right there will have her go for at least a couple of days. And here we have a 1920, 1930 circular Coke and barber pole. I love the patina on here. And for me personally, I love patina. And that being said, you can see the Tory display case right next to it with a Tory sign above it. And Tory was a manufacturer of strops. So obviously barbers back in the day would strop and hone their razors. And this is a display case that would have strops on display for sale in a barber supply, right? To the left of it, you had a whole bunch of different oil cans, right? Different tonic cans. And what these represented was these barbers would buy this to refill their tonics that they would have on the back bar. So instead of constantly buying more and more tonic, they would buy the larger size, 1 gallon size, and refill their tonics. To the left of that, another display case that has a lot of different types of straight razors in it. Some were made of bone, some were made of ivory, different types of handles, and underneath there, very, very early wooden ones with rivets and bolts that would hold them all together. Super cool display. Down here, one of the things I'd like to highlight, because there's a lot going on in this display, is this World War II field kit, all right, dated 1945. So this was made for an on-field barber in the Army. So he would go out onto the field, make sure the soldiers were shaved and clean cut, and this would be his travel case with the U.S. Army stamped on the box with the U.S. Army cape. One of my favorite pieces here as well in this display. The back doorway to the classroom is the Wall of Fame. And these are some of the educators that have came through and talked to the students, did demos for the students, educated the students. And shout out to all these people. I want to highlight some of these people. We just had Victorino Stylo here last week. My man Drastic the Barber, Los Cut It in the building. We had my man Platano Gucci in the building. We've had all type of people in here. Sky Salon, Barbero Benji, my man Kenny Duncan, Bones the Goat, Jay Nuri. You know, we have so many people that have came through here. My man Jesse Elite from Chicago. So many people. Barber Phil, Sophie Stay Gold. You know, shout out to the whole Creations crew that came through here, and obviously Team Official, Moody OC, and Jack. So, you know, so many people that have came through here and continue to go through here. We've had over 35 guest educators in 2022 alone. So starting off the year strong, we had 4 educators here in one day last week. So shout out to them. And then the motivation wall on the opposite side with some of the things that their messages that they leave behind to the students. And, you know, so shout out to everybody that has came through and shared any positive messages, any education to the students. All right, guys, let me take you to my private suite. All right, guys, welcome to my private suite. And what I mean by private is a private experience for my clients. Now, a lot of times when they're here, they don't want to be bothered by outside noise. Shit, they don't even want to hear me talk. So it's service all the way, first class A1. And that being said, I had to hit them with the A1 chair. This is a Eugene Burninghouse Hercules chair. And why is it called the Hercules chair? Because it's just that. You see Hercules' face right in the arms of the chair. Now, this chair was also depicted in the early movie, The Time Machine, with Charlie Chaplin in it. All right, this is not the exact chair, but the same chair that was in that movie. And this is all walnut, super ornate carvings in it. with tufted leather all the way through and through. One of my favorite chairs here in Official Cuts Academy. The back bar behind me is also a Eugene Burninghouse back bar that dates back to the 1800s. So I try to keep everything uniform here. Now, I know you guys noticed this little chair sitting on the back bar, all right, and I had it redone the same way I did with this chair, and you can kind of see the little mechanisms on the back of this chair that would have the chair recline. And what this is a salesman sample chair. So a salesman would literally walk into the barbershop and try to sell you a chair. Again, you're talking about a time before Google, before catalogs, and they would literally walk in there and show you what the chair would look like. So this is a salesman sample, and it's pretty cool. You can see the little knob right here in the back where the chair would recline, and then where it would sit up. A small little chair to go right with it. All right, guys, so you see here on the wall, this is a picture of a barber with a brush. Now this looks like it looks like a shoe shine brush, right? But in reality, this was used to scrape the scalp of clients' hair and also as a pompadour brush. So this was a multi-use brush. And why was this used to scrape the scalp of clients' hair? They would do that before applying the tonic. So if you had somebody that had dandruff or had some sort of itchy scalp, they would scrape the scalp with this and then apply the tonic. And this is a picture of it being used on a child here in this picture. To the right of it is a Eugene Burninghouse requisite cabinet, just like the ones that we previously showed you, the Koch and the one that right in the beginning of the school, the larger one. This was a Eugene Burninghouse one, and same thing, it has different types of tonics and different types of products available for your clients. Next to the requisite cabinet, we have this James Barker barber pole, and this was a really cool pole. This was hand painted way back when, I'm not really sure when, but you can even see during the mid-century, they painted everything white. Right, they tried to cover up the wood with white paint. So you can see the original paint and then at some point the white paint over it. Now that white paint ended up chipping, revealing the old original paint underneath. So I love the patina on this one. James Barker they were based out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So a really cool pole. To the left of the pole is a Noonan Barber Supply chart, and that has different haircut charts on there, different mug charts, a lot of different bottles that were available by that T. Noonan and Son Co. And they were one of the first barber supplies in the United States, and they were based out of Boston. So this is the last stop in my suite. This mug rack has a variety of sterling silver, stainless steel, and aluminum mugs. And also my favorite thing displayed here are these coined aluminum straight razor blades. Now, these razor blades have different images in them that were depicted, and this was probably around 1912 to 1915. And at the time, they thought aluminum was a precious metal, so they made straight razors out of them. They did that for about 2 to 3 years before switching to sterling silver. So really, really cool display case and mug rack. They only made these for a couple years. Even though they're aluminum, to me, they were very rare because they didn't manufacture them for a long time. All right, BarberVille, I lost my voice messing with you guys today. It's time for you guys to go. Why don't you go ahead and go get you some deep dish pizza in Chicago or something, man? But y'all got to go. Out of here with that, man.